Gonna give a review of Forever My Girl to start things out with, though, and then I'm gonna have Joe Viso back in a few minutes to talk about the new method of release from Amazon Studios. But we got a lot more to talk about this hour. So first off, I'm gonna start things off with Forever My Girl, the brand new Bethany Ashton Wolf film. This is gonna be a little bit of a tough one, but I'm gonna try to keep it simple, okay? Alongside love stories, you could argue that stories about redemption are some of the most quintessential to film. And speaking holistically, in a holistic sense, you could say that stories about characters redeeming themselves are some of the most quintessential. It's not hard to see why these kind of distinct types have interwoven themselves into becoming the most popular kinds of movies. Most of us would like to fall in love, and we'd all like to believe that people could be good if given a second chance. The sad realization for people comes when people realize that maybe love isn't all it's made out to be. And perhaps more significantly, some people just aren't worthy of our forgiveness. Just building upon that latter idea, some people just aren't worthy of being given a second chance if they've already done irreparable damage to our lives or have done something so inexcusable that they are unworthy of our trust going forward. And that's what comes to my point, though, with movies. Why movies about, even as common as they are, movies about characters redeeming themselves have a special challenge. They need to make the audience not only believe in the redemption, but give an audience to believe in the character. So let me illustrate Forever My Girl's plot. The film revolves around Alex Rowe's character. He plays a country music star named Liam Page. He's a young kid from New Orleans, and he's on his way to a fruitful marriage with Josie, played by Jessica Roth from Happy Death Day, when he's apparently noticed by a record executive during karaoke in a bar. The executive loves his voice and signs him up for a big tour in the lieu of the wedding, and basically Liam ditches Josie at the wedding. He's a no-show, and he goes on to be completely hated in his small Louisiana town. So fast forward 8 years later, Liam is one of the hottest country music stars at the moment, like a Luke Bryant-like talent. And one of his most human qualities is the fact that every day, for the last 8 years, Liam revisits the final voicemail Josie left him on his old flip phone. So after a groupie breaks his cell phone and he rushes to get it repaired, Liam apparently has some kind of epiphany that inspires him to go back to Louisiana to get in contact with Josie. So he stays with his father, who doesn't like him like the rest of the people in the town, and he tries to patch things up with his ex-fiance. He realizes that Josie now has a 7-year-old daughter named Billy, played by Abby Ryden Forston. And now after seeing this, he is more motivated than ever to try to get back into the life of his former lover and his former girlfriend as well. He tries to form a relationship as well with his daughter, picking her up from school every day, bonding with her over what she likes and such, so on and so forth. So that's kind of your redemption story. It's also a movie about trying to fall back in love with somebody too. There are many things wrong with Forever My Girl, which is based off a book by Heidi McLaughlin, okay? But let's start with the small details. Okay, for one, I find it immensely hard to believe that the biggest country music singer on the planet does not have a smartphone. That's number one. I find that completely hard to believe. I can't believe that after so many years of success that the country musician does not have a smartphone. So that's number one. Furthermore, he's also soft-hearted enough to listen to his former girlfriend's voicemail. He listens to his former girlfriend's voicemail daily, but he's so hard-headed not to call her until 8 years later. That seems kind of an inconsistency, doesn't it? You listen to a voicemail from somebody that you don't have closure with every day for the last 8 years, and you're not motivated to call them. Are you a masochist? So then, going on forward, I can't fathom what Roadside Attractions, the studio behind this movie, saw in this material to give Forever My Girl a theatrical release when there are carbon copies of this kind of overwrought romantic drama airing weekly on Hallmark Channel and CMT. I don't understand why this thing needed to go to theaters. And going back to what I said initially, the simple fact is this. I don't buy Liam Page as a character worthy of our or Josie's forgiveness, and you shouldn't either. I don't buy him for a second. Society forgives way too many deadbeat dads as it is. And the fact that we watch a well-meaning, self-sufficient woman like Josie fall prey to a despicable louse like Liam that hardly ever shows a shred of empathy or convincing human emotion throughout this entire film, it's a sad way to spend 104 minutes. And not to get on a social science or a high horse of gender studies or whatnot, but it's also fairly demeaning to the female character of this movie. She's strong. She's got a daughter. She survived 8 years without this guy. And now all of a sudden he comes back into his life just like a man when all the hard, heavy lifting is done, and now he wants to be a father. I don't buy it. And I'm not saying that this story's doomed from the start, but I don't buy the Liam Page character. I don't think he's written particularly well. I don't think Josie, in any situation, would give in to Liam. And if this played out in real life, I don't think that this would realistically occur, but that's also not why we go to these movies. Now, I'm just thinking, it's unthinkable for Wolf, Bethany Ashton Wolf, the director of this film, and Heidi McLaughlin, who wrote the book, that they would undermine the strength of their female character that by having her fall so swiftly back in love with Liam all over again, especially to the point of trusting her with the kid he didn't know existed for 7 years. That's the other thing. And to kind of conclude things too, Forever My Girl is gonna spawn a lot of awes and a lot of romantic interest too from viewers that are both old and young, and that's fine, whatever. That kind of understands it too. But it's sad that a public now is more willing to accept complete neglect and irresponsibility from a male character in this sense, because it's allegedly one of those quote-unquote rough patches every relationship goes through. Putting up with Liam's good old boy goofiness and inability to take on adult responsibilities is just something you might have to deal with if you want that country kid's charm equipped with his knockout smile lying next to you at the end of a long day. As you could probably infer, this is how things operate in Nicholas Sparks land, even though that this Forever My Girl is not a Nicholas Sparks product, okay? But it exists in the same frothy bubble that gives those who buy into escapism both terrible expectations and disturbingly inaccurate depictions of love. Sure, you could say that Forever My Girl is good viewing for a sleepy Sunday, but you'd be better off and more mentally clear by just staying asleep. I give Forever My Girl 2 out of 4 stars, which is probably a little bit generous. I think that this movie, what it tries to position is wrong. I think what it tries to convey too is troubling, but also not surprising. We haven't had a Nicholas Sparks movie, believe it or not, in 2 years. I believe The Longest Ride was the last one. I know we haven't had one in 2 years or so, so that I can say for sure. But it's really surprising in a way that we haven't had one in a while, but it doesn't stop copycats like this movie from popping up and every chance they get. So 2 out of 4 stars for Forever My Girl.